So good morning, everybody. I want to just introduce Brian Hobbs, who's here with us today from the Peel Learning Foundation. And Brian, you're the executive officer, and I know right now your hands are extremely full, and I know you're also working from home and trying to manage a lot of balls remotely. But I'd love you to just tell us right now really how the role of this foundation has shifted and changed during these times of crisis. And I know you've got a student emergency needs program, and I know that's really been activated lately to help out families. If you could just maybe explain that a little bit more.
Sure, thank you. So the role of the Peel Learning Foundation is to support students facing barriers from poverty across the Peel school system. And the Student Emergency Needs Program is the vehicle we use to support students in need by providing things like food, hygiene items. In the winter, we provide funding for winter coats, stuff like that. And with the COVID-19 situation, demand for help through the Student Emergency Needs Program has increased dramatically in the last week and a half. In most cases, it's parents losing their jobs, and now their students are at home. They're not able to access student breakfast programs. They're not able to access lunch programs, and they need food at home while the students are there studying at home. So there's been a lot of demand for that. And the key challenge with the COVID situation is normally we provide full gift cards to the students and their families, working with principals and vice principals and social workers. But now that the principals and the staff don't have access in person to their students and their families, it's presented a significant challenge. So what we're doing now is, where possible, we're providing digital gift cards through Walmart to the families that the principal can buy it online with their credit card and email it to the family. And then the family takes their device or a print off of the gift card to the store. So it's meant to minimize the exposure risk for both principals, social workers, and the recipient. And that so far seems to be working quite well.
But that's brilliant, because I think also one of the concerns has been accessibility, and even just families having accessibility to support, to help. And in many cases, it's difficult for them to even be mobile at this time. And so I know you were even saying that you help even with them, whether it's an Uber fare or a cab fare, if they need to actually physically get to the grocery store and aren't able to at this time too.
Yeah, and we work on somewhat of a case-by-case basis. So if a family doesn't have the money to get to a Walmart, if the family doesn't have the money to get to a food bank, the money that we provide through the Student Emergency Needs Program can be used for cab fare. It can be used for bus tickets. So we're trying to help them get over the various barriers they face, be it not being near a Walmart, or not needing a different store than a Walmart, or needing cab fare or bus fare to get to it. We're trying to be as flexible as possible, and certainly in this time right now with COVID. We're trying to get a solution in place that works for most people most of the time, but it's very clear that a good amount of flex is needed in this time, because all families, many families, are in very difficult and very different situations, family to family. So we try to respect that and work with that with the principals and the social workers, who they're in touch with the families every day.
And I think that you bring up a really great point, Brian. And what I love about this emergency needs program is, I think for many families, school is their lifeline. It's their access to resources that they've relied on. And that's community for them that they've trusted, whether it's through the breakfast programs before, or being able to get students essential needs. And now that, school's not in place, for many people, they don't know where to go, or they don't know how to now get resources when they were relying on the school system. So this is what I love, is that you're still able to reach families who have relied on that access point in as far as help goes, that they still can rely on, whether it's through the principals, through the foundation, through the board, that's sort of been their safe place. And so for many people, they're like, well, if that's taken away, what now? So I love that you're still keeping those channels open. because like I said, I think accessibility is the most important thing for families. You just feel lost in this time. Where do I go? And you know, I know we all believe that no one, especially children, but no one should go without essentials right now, which is food and you know, your basic hygiene and medical supplies.
Well, and one of the other things we're able to do is once the families come to us and we get them the support that we can also provide them with information to get additional resources. So
Yes.
when you know, this past week when I've approved grants for the Student Emergency Needs Program, they get approval for that support. But what I can also send them that I have, thanks to our social work team, is an up-to-date list of food and nutrition resources in Brampton, in Caledon, in Mississauga. So not only can they get the immediate financial support to get them through the time right now, there's information on how they can access a longer term support that they otherwise might not know about. And the social work team sends me an updated list about every 2 weeks on that.
And I think information is so powerful. So that is a beautiful thing, because the reality is we don't know how long we're going to be in this situation. So
Yeah.
I think the more resources that these families have available to them, the better, because really, and there is really beautiful humanity that is being shown in this time. And I really want to sort of focus on that and just help spread awareness and spread love so that there really isn't a family who is in need at this time. And, you know, I want to thank you for all the work you're doing. I know this is kind of around the clock right now, and I would love to continue the support. And so far you haven't had to turn a family down, correct?
No, we have not. And we have resources in place, and we hope to be able to meet the need as we projected it for this year. But there's two things we don't know. We don't know if in the weeks and months ahead, demand will far exceed what we thought.
Yeah.
And we don't know if fundraising will come in anywhere near what we thought. So there's a couple of unknowns that we're juggling simultaneously. But thankfully, no, we haven't had to turn people away. People are donating through our website, which is peellearningfoundation.org.
Beautiful.
Corporations are donating. So there's, as you say, there's a lot of goodwill. Everybody wants to help. But as somebody who's giving out support in the form of money at the same time trying to bring it in, I hope those two match.
And you know what I say, Brian, to that as well? I think every little bit helps, whether it's $5, $10. I know I'm doing a webinar that's going to help people manage stress, and I'm just asking for a $10 donation, and that's going to go directly to this emergency needs program. And I think, you know, there's many things we're not spending money on right now too. And, you know, like going to get a cup of coffee. So, you know, finding that $10, I'm a big believer that when we look at the mass community, and if everybody can help a little bit, that creates huge movement. You know, you don't have to donate $100, but if you can $5 or $10, it makes a big difference. Well,
it all helps. And what I can say from communicating with parents is these amounts of support through the Learning Foundation are life-changing, and they are helping them through an incredibly difficult time.
Yeah, and I thank you. And my hope is we're going to spread awareness, and we're going to keep this momentum going so that families can feel a sense of safety during this difficult time. And I think that is, I think it's a beautiful thing that we even have this in place. And I think, again, the strong point that you have is accessibility, because for many of us, we don't know, well, who are those families? And I know there's also, you know, we've got to be mindful, and there's privacy rights and all of that as well. So through this avenue, those families that have been reliant on programs can still get accessibility, I think is just a huge plus and huge bonus. And I want to thank you. And even the social workers and the principals who are really getting called beyond the scope of what their typical work is right now to step up in a different way is just magical to see. And huge thank you to all of you.
Yes, well, thank you for the opportunity.